Oh, sure, now it works. It works. Well, all right.
Here we are.
Welcome, you guys, to the Dr. G Show. This is episode 178, and we're going to be talking about adrenals and exhaustion and all this great stuff.
And so we're playing some really mellow music. We've got a nice fire going for you because we're going to help you relax so that you won't be exhausting. Even flowers.
It's all chillax.
We're relaxing our adrenals.
Relax the adrenals. All right.
All right.
So I tried to get this to work. Talk about adrenal fatigue, right? So I tried to get this shared on the live event the way it's supposed to be, but that did not work. So we did it over and over and over. We had this cute little intro, and then finally it was just like, okay, well, let's just do it old school. So we're doing old school. So I'm glad you guys are here. Glad it's working. So with this topic, adrenal fatigue, this is a pretty big problem for most people, especially Americans. And who do you think has more hormonal exhaustion, men or women?
Women.
Yeah, that's sexist. But that's true.
You have to at least say that one time during every show.
Yeah, Linda. So we asked Linda, do you think it's more likely to be, and Jessica, same thing.
Whoops.
Do you guys feel like hormonal exhaustion is more likely to be men or women?
I said women.
She said women. I'm not disagreeing, but I want to hear what you guys have to think too. Our topic tonight is adrenal exhaustion, and really talking about complacency. So we're going to have this adrenal fatigue kind of episode where we talk about complacency and really kind of coping with it. And then we're going to talk about how it affects your thyroid on the next one. So most thyroid problems are secondary to adrenal problems. So if you don't get it together, it's all going to fall apart. I'm Dr. G. I appreciate you guys being here. For all you guys that watch it live and then all that watch it offline too. And then of course we have our very, very special guest, Suzanne. Block it. Rocket Block it.
That's
a
it.
good name.
You did, yeah.
You know what though? You told me a long time ago not to call you Susie.
No.
Or Susan.
I said everybody calls me lots of different ways.
Yeah, but you said not to call you one.
I don't remember that. That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
That was.
I don't remember. You can call me whatever.
Linda says women.
Yep. I said women.
Yeah.
Because we carry the weight for both sexes.
That's right. You have to do all the same stuff as a man, but you have to also put up with men.
Yeah.
So that's big drama. Unless you have a good man like me.
That's right.
That's right. So, this episode is probably one of the most important topics that we have. For 17 years of practicing, women martyr the hell out of themselves. And they will give everything they have, just feel exhausted as hell, while everybody else is being taken care of, but no one will take care of them.
Right.
And so that idea of like hormone replacement therapy, whether it's bioidentical or synthetic, or thyroid replacement, or all the things that we do to cope, that becomes the kind of like surviving mentality where you're just kind of going through these motions of trying to survive as everything's falling apart and you're trying to hold it all together, and you can't. Mm-hmm. You absolutely can't.
Yes.
So for 17 years with patients, it's mostly women, and it's so crazy because one of the questions I ask my patients is, talking about refilling your bucket for your adrenal fatigue, right? So if you have this much exhaustion going on, and it probably should be that way for what you're doing, what the hell are you doing to bring it back up? What are you doing to plug back in?
Right.
So your phone, if you don't plug your phone back in, it goes through adrenal fatigue too, and then it shuts off. But we know how we were supposed to recharge that. But what do you do to recharge you? If you're going to exhaust yourself all the time, what the hell are you doing to plug back in? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's one of our questions for you guys, right? what are you doing to kind of recharge? Like I've asked women that all these years, and it's a big blank. Well, what do you do to recharge? And it's a I can't talk. I've been talking all day. I'm sorry. It's a big blank stare.
And it's true. We don't take care of ourselves as much as we should.
So,
but I think as a human race, I think we're so busy doing.
Yeah.
That we don't recharge our batteries as much as we should.
Constant doing, not human beings, right? So that's where a lot of times people can't shut it off when they're just sitting and being. Like, it's uncomfortable. You gotta, I can't just sit here and do nothing. I gotta be doing stuff because I gotta distract from the fact that I'm uncomfortable with my current situation and how exhausted I feel. Yeah?
Yeah.
So what do you do to recharge and replug in?
Ironically enough, today...
Miss Mindfulness.
Yes, today...
She's really good.
It was a little bit of a process that I actually had to start with becoming aware that I was not as energetic as I normally am. I mean, it was, for me, being aware of it was pretty quick. And so what did I do to sort of relax into that state? I accepted it, for one thing. I made choices to take a break. Today, I actually took a nap.
Woo.
I know.
A nap, that's
I
so
know,
selfish.
I don't do that
that's
very
so
much.
Selfish.
But so I took a nap. I also took a B vitamin, like you said last week. You know, sometimes we do need a little extra push of nutrients somewhere, or some kind of. I ate some seaweed. I made a healthy little seaweed snack. I drank a lot of water. I went for a walk. So I did take a few steps, you know, to kind of bring myself up to par again.
Yeah.
And here we are.
So no, that's not the question though.
I know.
What is it that like if you were if you were an iPhone, could we that good?
I think for women sometimes it is just resting. And on the mindfulness, on the mindfulness part, yeah, there's a lot more in that category. But
Not my what rejuvenates you? Like you end up with more energy, right? Not how do you kind of downshift and downregulate and stop stressing, but what are you doing to basically recharge and rejuvenate? What do you do?
I enjoy walking, fresh air and walking. That really, and it's actually become a passion. So there you go. Something that's passionate can help rejuvenate too. Something that you do, art, writing, singing, dancing. I bought myself some flowers today. So, just really changing that mindset of, okay, I'm having this fatigue. Where's it coming from? What caused it? Lifestyle changes could be something that's causing the fatigue or whatever. So
yeah,
it's just taking steps, taking action, making a decision, becoming aware, making a decision, and then taking action.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of everything today.
Linda Rose says, shopping.
Shopping.
So
yeah.
So I challenge you on that, Linda. Is shopping a distraction, or is it recharging?
I'm going to be poetic. Is it distraction or passion?
Does that even rhyme? Is that right?
Distraction is your passion. Yeah.
All right.
I think so.
So that's one of the things to consider too is we have things that downshift, we have things that distract, we have things that we do to cope, and we have things that just rejuvenate us back up, right? So I always give the example of like, for whatever reasons, if I watch a movie at home, I feel distracted. I feel like I'm coping. I can distract from what's going on for a little bit, like be in this different world for a while. But if I go to an actual movie theater and I sit down and watch a big screen movie, I feel like the world's a better place when I get out. Like I don't know what it is, but I literally feel recharged. Like something like my batteries just like that.
You know what it might be too, because the movie theaters are so loud. And the vibrational changes in your system. That could be something with that too.
Well, it is more interacting
with
the movie as opposed to just sit and watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
then, you know, some people call their friends, and, you know, there's a lot.
What did Chelsea say?
Chelsea says naps help me recharge. I find them to be rejuvenating. Turning off the phone.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one.
So that's the question. So like with Chelsea, some people take naps to distract. Some people take naps because they're exhausted. Mm-hmm. But if you take a nap and then you're just like, okay, I'm like charged back up. I'm ready to go. That's a whole different thing. So that's funny because like that's a good point, Chelsea. Like one person's thing may be totally different outcome, maybe, right? So we're always adrenally fatiguing, right? We're all like, it's all stress. We're the number one country for anxiety and depression. We all love to be stressed and fearful over everything, and then feeling inadequate and trying to do too many things that we can't do.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of that.
The way that you balance out your adrenals and this is all your hormones, is really, you have to stop exhausting them, right? So making active choices to say, hey, I only have 100 units of energy. I'm not giving that to you and your bullshit over here, and I'm not going to deal with this over here. I'm only going to deal with me. As much as I can, I want to really waste all my hormones taking care of my real stuff, not everybody else's. And that dramatically limits how much exhaustion you get, how much cortisol you spend on others. So then your adrenals don't have to work as hard. But also, it's like money. If you spend 100 on stress, you better make 100 back.
Right.
So if that 100, like if you stress out, say I stress $100, and then you take a nap and it doesn't buy you anything, you've gotten nowhere. You just wasted time. In fact, like naps, I actually feel worse when I take naps.
I do too.
Do you really?
I thought I was the only one.
Oh my God! Like
it takes me like 30 minutes to kind of like.
Except one type of nap, I feel wonderful with. All right, so if I am
What's he gonna say, y'all?
If I'm watching TV, or like How's It Made, nature documentary, or what's the other one? There's another one that I just. Oh, Ancient Aliens. For whatever reason, if I like sit in the chair and I'm watching that and I just kind of drift into go to sleep and then I wake up later, I feel fine. But if I like put a pillow down and try to actually go to sleep, I feel like aggravated for some reason. You guys feel that way?
I feel like that sometimes, not all the time. I mean, I have good naps, and I wonder if it has a lot to do with the exhaustion. If we're taking a nap just to have a relaxing nap versus taking a nap because you're exhausted, maybe that's the difference. Like, because you were just talking about, I watch a movie, and I kind of drift off, and I feel great when I wake up. And so that might be the difference.
So that's not an exhaustion nap for me. That's just like a leisurely, like I don't have to get stuff done.
Yeah.
I can just like, just totally relax and succumb to the moment.
That's right.
But if I purposely take a nap, it's usually because I'm exhausted. That's a good point.
Yes.
I bet you that's the difference.
I think that's it. We just uncovered a new thing, y'all.
So do you guys feel better with naps or worse with naps?
Yeah, tell us.
Or equivocal?
Tell us what you...
And what other things are you guys doing that helps you recharge? I want to hear your guys' recharging. But I'm telling you, like 17 years, most people have women usually have no idea what rejuvenates them. What?
Gina says she's craving tomato soup because of our fireplace TV.
I know. Outside, it's all beautiful and nice, but it feels like it's like a nice fall.
We need to make some soup on the open fire.
Yes.
But so yeah, I mean, you know, when I don't think that I've ever really experienced adrenal fatigue to a degree, because I always have these mechanisms of trying to get pumped back into a higher energy state.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of mindset for me. I just, you know, as I've been talking about in several episodes, I've been really trying to work towards changing all the neuron patterning and making things more positive in my life. And I think that's part of that too.
Yeah.
Is
neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity. Making sure that you're aware of what's happening and why. and taking care of that. Along with, we have lots of really good things to talk about with that today. So
those are blank pages.
These are blank. So, so the hard science is the adrenals do what, Dr. Garrett?
Well, your adrenals. So we talked about pineal gland back here.
Yes.
We talked about the what did we talk about? Thymus gland.
Thymus,
right here.
yeah, we did. We started up here, and we actually have more glands up there that we should probably touch on too sometime.
Yeah.
But started the pineal gland, down to the thymus. Pineal gland meaning all of those beautiful. Let's recap.
Crown.
So all of those beautiful
DM.
the DMT stuff goes throughout your system first thing when you wake up, and then your thymus really affects
all your immune
system stuff and
yeah.
some other energy things, the soft science stuff.
Yeah.
But the adrenals, I think, are really important on a real. They're all important, but I'm excited to talk about the adrenals today.
Well, so the adrenals are your powerhouse, right? Mm-hmm. So these are two little triangle-shaped glands that sit on either side of your kidney like a little cap. So you have your kidney, and you have these little caps on top for some reason.
And here, let me kind of, I don't know if y'all can see this or not, but right here is a picture of the kidneys, and then you've got these two little caps on top, and they kind of look like a clump of glands, but But yeah, and some of them are different sizes, and based on the makeup of your kidneys and stuff. So.
And on the inside it does stuff. On the outside it does stuff. It's like a 2-layer gland. Mm-hmm. But your main thing with that is your adrenals have to do with is big powerhouse stuff like cortisol. Cortisol is like the constant stress that you have, whether it's acute or constant. But it's like just day-to-day kind of stress. But it also makes epinephrine, norepinephrine, which is adrenaline. And adrenaline is your fight or flight, or, you know what the third one is?
It's a stress response and mood.
Oh, what's the third one? It starts with F. Fight, flight. So we always say fight or flight. You're either going to punch somebody or you're going to run away. But the third one is a fairly, one that most people don't know, and that's freeze.
Oh.
So, like if you're a white woman in a horror movie, oh my God, Jason's coming towards me, I better fall down and like, what am I going to do? Right?
Kind of like a possum.
So they freeze, yeah. So, a lot of times people ask like, well, why do you respond that way? But, some people are like, they will fight during stress. Some people will run away from the stress. But other people will just kind of like succumb to it, right? And that's probably the most dangerous form of that when it comes to your own emotional survival, because you just kind of learn to be subjugated to trauma, right? So you're not acting out. So at least with fight and flight, you like burn off that epinephrine. So as you're making these like really strong stress responses, you have to burn that stuff off. That's where like sometimes with stress, you'll be like, I can just meditate it away. I can just do deep breathing. I can just do some mindfulness. And that's kind of like entry level kind of cortisol stress. Mm-hmm. It's not that traumatic to you. Mm-hmm. But the other stress, the epinephrine stress, the stuff that makes you shake like this when you get angry or when somebody cuts you off or something, or hurts your feelings, the kind where you get so mad you start crying. Not me, but other guys, right?
Yep.
So those are those types that you have to actually match that intensity. So you can't meditate your way out of fight or flight. You can't mindful your way out of fight or flight.
Well, as Scott says, you can splash water on your face.
Oh, as Scott says. So,
a plug for Scotty.
So,
So there are steps you can take, but what he's trying to say is you just can't. You have to be aware of it.
All right. So say what Scott tells us, because I like that. Scott's my little. my mentor. He's always been like a father to me.
Well, it's
Sometimes a grandfather.
sometimes when you're in that fight or flight scenario, you do have to back down and take a few seconds. And to do that, there's lots of different ways to do that. Throw water on your face, take deep breaths, exit the room for 4 minutes, and then come back. And you know when your body's going to start calming down.
Yeah.
The problem is, and I know I've experienced this in my own reactionary responses, is that fight or flight, it's like it sometimes can be a combination. Like, I want to just get out of this right now and just go, and then what happens? Nothing gets resolved. So you can't really just abandon ship. You have to exit the scene for a few minutes. Be mindful when you're talking to the other person, like, I really need to take a moment to think about this. Or when you're in your car and somebody's cutting you off, you can't really say anything to them. They're flipping them off and stuff like that isn't going to help. It's taking those mindfulness steps to restructure your train of thought, roll the window down, turn the music up a little bit, just do whatever you can, whatever is available to help you reduce that fight or flight.
So one time...
And that's also changing your neuron patterning too, because then next time you're not going to react so crazy about it.
You just say all the stuff I want to say.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I know, I get on a roll. I'm so passionate
She's all about
that.
this.
So, yeah.
So that's that practicing the pause. Pause, throw water on you. Pause, walk out of the situation. Pause, start trying to go to frontal lobe and thinking through stuff, right? Rather than reacting.
Yeah, like that amygdala. Don't let that amygdala get involved, because then you're kind of off the wagon.
Right. That's that fear and anger response as part of the amygdala, by Amy G. Dalla. And, but frontal lobe is reasoning. Nothing's really that bad. It really isn't.
Nothing really is that bad unless somebody's getting hurt in the process. I mean, kids do it in the stores all the time. They have those little breakdowns. Their amygdala is so sensitive, just fling.
Yeah. You're not a parent until you have carried your kid out of a situation crying and screaming like a boss.
Right.
Oh my God, everybody.
Right.
On one time, we were in Outback Steakhouse, so probably like 14 years ago. And my daughter was throwing a fit, and I had ordered this wonderful seafood. I love seafood so much back then. And I ordered all this seafood, and then she's crying, screaming, and my wife was done with that, and so I was just like, okay, I'll take her outside and I'll sit with her. And then, like, that girl she was fine with being unhappy. She was going to get her way, or we're all going to suffer. And so I went out there, and then I calmed her down. And then she's calm, so then we go back in. They ate my freaking food.
I knew you were going to say that.
And I was just like,
And so you're like, well, we're going to sit here for another 30 minutes while I get another plate of food, right?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
So I'll give you an example too. So one time, I was dating this girl, and she broke my heart. And then I could not meditate. Like, I was trying to breathe, and my chest was just tight like in knots, and my stomach muscles were just tight as a knot, and I just could not take full deep breaths. I couldn't figure it out. And then I'm just like, I can't breathe. Like, I went to meditation class and I could not breathe. Like, I just couldn't breathe. So, luckily, the patient was in the next day, and I was explaining to her this, hey, this is epinephrine stress, which is, and I was like, wait, I have epinephrine stress. I have to burn this off. So then the next day, next morning, I went and I ran. And I hate running, but I run. And I usually run walk, jog kind of thing, about 1 to 3 miles. And I decided I was just going to keep running. And I think it was like mile 3 or 5 or 6, maybe 6, that I finally was like,
oh, wow.
I could breathe. All that tightness finally was burned off. But that fight or flight epinephrine from that adrenal gland, it will wreck you. It'll tighten you up like this until you burn that off, and then you can kind of melt back to where you were.
That's
but
amazing.
if you do not burn that off,
I did not know
it'll
that.
just keep you just tense.
I did not know that. That is amazing. I think I wrote a few things down here that has something to do with that too. I mean, like when your adrenals aren't working, you know, you have a tendency to have bloating and water retention and just a lot of things that make you feel tired and sick.
Yeah.
And you've tightness in your chest. I mean, all of these glands that we've been talking about the last 3 weeks they're all working in harmony together. And if one of them's not working correctly, hence the adrenal glands, nothing else works, and all the other glands.
Right.
And so it also, like, in some cases, what it can be like a lack of DHEA.
Yeah.
Is that ahead of where we want to go?
Well, it's all right. So,
I mean, it can cause hair loss. Listen, I wrote down some stuff here. Some signs of adrenal fatigue: weight gain, lack of energy, insomnia, morning sluggishness, constipation, dry skin hair.
That's America.
And arthritis pain, unexplained hair loss, cold hands and feet. Cold hands and feet.
That's sudden cold.
Oh,
yeah.
Allergies, low body temperature, and reduced sex drive.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, because we're going to be talking about testosterone in that too, right?
That's a game changer right there.
So, and both women and men have both testosterone and estrogen. So there's a lot of things that having adrenal fatigue, you know, even if you don't realize it.
So in that process, so if this is stress, so a couple things is you make cortisol and your happy hormone and testosterone, they're all part of the same thing. So you take cholesterol, and cholesterol makes vitamin D, but it also makes progesterone, which is your happy hormone. Then it makes progesterone converts into cortisol, which is your stress hormone. Happiness or stress, you're going to make one or the other. But also on the other side of that, cholesterol makes anti-aging hormone, the DHEA, right? So that's what keeps you young and vibrant. And then that's an epiandrogen, which that makes testosterone for men and women, which is your sex drive and your get up and go, your pep. And then that makes estrogens. So if you're going to take and say, okay, we're going to take cholesterol, we're going to make them into all these hormones and keep them in balance. But now I'm going to live a lifestyle that's not in balance, and I'm going to have constant anxiety because I'm trying to do too much and I can't, and then I'm wasting all my hormones, everybody else's drama, and people that aren't my circus ain't my monkeys, and people that aren't going to change and have unrealistic expectations. I hurt my own expectations, and then what's it do? The more cortisol from that adrenal gland, the more progesterone that gets converted into cortisol, the more testosterone that converts into cortisol, the more anti-aging hormone. And then all the symptoms you listed, which is what every patient comes in with starting out, is exactly what should happen. That's 100% what you should see, because we're exhausting all the rest of our hormones. The problem is when you go to most docs, even natural docs, they will just test your hormones, say they're low, let's give you hormones.
Right, hormone replacement.
But why the hell are they low in the first place?
Right.
I mean, if you check your bank account is negative, you're not going to be like, I just need to go get a payday loan. You're going to be like, wait.
Although,
what the hell did I buy?
People do that.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
But they will sit there and look through their accounts and say, where did I waste my money? So when you think about that hormonally, where did you waste your hormones, right? So all those things are not abnormals. They're not. They're not diseases. If you can't sleep and you can't function and you keep having more memory and brain fog and all that stuff with bloating, like if I can't cope, well, I'll just cope with wheat and dairy, which is morphine, and then I'll just cope with sugar, I'll just cope with caffeine, I'll cope with vaping, I'll cope with drama, until you can't.
Till you
and
lose it.
you will lose your shit.
Yeah.
You will either have a panic attack, a heart attack, you'll drop down into depression, you'll just jack yourself up with anxiety. You will fall apart, my friend. You can only do it for so long.
That's right. And what happens too is your kidneys can't process all of that. They can't keep up.
Adrenals or kidneys?
Kidneys.
Kidneys.
Well, when the adrenals are pumping out a bunch of stuff, the kidneys have to filter that, and
yeah.
And that's why water weight gain. you start getting fluids everywhere, your heart slows down. I mean, it's just an endless, you just go backwards for a long time.
Can anybody relate to that? And, you know, all of that is just like, it's really, I mean, balancing hormones is simple.
Yeah.
Balancing most problems is very simple. It's always just create normal. Create a lifestyle that's consistent with life and longevity without gimmicks and nonsense. But it's knowing someone that knows how to do that that's important, obviously, and doesn't do gimmicks and nonsense things. But honestly, if people don't know what brings them joy, if they don't know what happiness really looks like, then how do you even know what direction to go? You know? So the Scott says, you know, are you living a life that's worth living? And honestly, most people aren't.
So we're going to ask you that question.
Is what?
Are you living a life worth living? Are there steps that you need to take? Are you know, what we always say is start with health.
Right.
Come see Dr. Patrick Garrett and get yourself some information on what's going on, and then start making those choices.
Because we've all been there.
Yes.
We've all been at our breaking points. And nothing changes. Yeah. So nobody changes until the current situation, the pain of the current situation is greater than the pain of change.
Yeah. Say that again so everybody gets it.
Change does not occur until the pain of your current situation is greater than the pain of change.
And so people are afraid of change. And so they'll take on that pain. Yeah. That level of pain is so high that, boom, you're in this meltdown, breakdown kind of situation, and there's only up after that. So some people will say too, like, you know, why wait?
Yeah, right. No, that's the
why wait to get to that point? You know, if you have all these things going on, get with it.
It's so weird because
get going.
Because we're all
Let's do
that.
This. Yeah.
Where it's just like we go
and go and cope and cope and cope.
Yeah, cope. We cope, cope and justify. We cope and justify.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Those two terms put together are super valid.
What about copify? That should be a thing.
That should be a logo
Trademark.
for a company or something.
Trademark patent. Pending.
Well, it is because you said it online.
That's right.
Nobody can use it.
So.
Yeah, so.
Coping and justifying. So basically, well, I have to do this because. Well, at what point in your life do you become worth saving? As opposed to everybody else.
Right.
When do you become the most valuable person in your life? When does your happiness truly matter? When do you stop martyring for everybody else and start living for yourself? Mm-hmm. So that idea of like, well, what does a life worth living look like? Like, I for a long time, I was not living a life worth living. Like, I thought I was happy-ish, but really, I was just happy with the amount of coping I could do.
Yeah. Well, and it becomes a part of your life. I mean, because when you start coping on any level, it's good to cope, but if it continues, then you're setting the tone for your future. I mean, you're gonna, like, we need to be down here and relaxed and everything's great, but we're coping, so we're up here, our heightened anxieties, our heightened energy, which is being dispersed in places that it shouldn't be, and there goes your life. You're up here now. You're not, you know, you're living that coping life.
Yeah.
I was going to say
if Scott was here, he'd be like, living that coping life. I'm going to make a t-shirt.
I thought he was going to be on here.
Yeah.
I don't see him or Mariah yet. But, you know, there's that, and, gosh.
So we were talking about...
We all do that.
Before we came on, we were talking about our little, like, morning routines and stuff, and, you know, finding that kind of, like, thing that just you do for you, you know? Yeah. And so, like, I, for a while now, have been, like, I have my little evening routine, and then I would, like, go to bed, I would tell Alexa to set the alarm, and then my cat would come up here, and one cat runs away, and the other cat, just hardcore snuggler. So we would snuggle, and then I would wake up in the morning to gentle Alexa, alarm, and then I would tell Alexa, what's the weather, and then I'd be like, okay, play.
A song.
Oh, wait, I can't remember. It's damn it! It's
Hey,
the same. Oh, Bryce Vine. So I would say, hey, play Bryce Vine, and then I'd get up and I'd have the exact same routine, and then go to work, and then I would and I listen to happy music on the way to work, and then I get to Broadway, and then I play hardcore rap music for some reason and put my windows down, and then I go get my coffee, and then I go for a walk, and I take pictures, and I look for shoes, and then I go sit in the park for a little bit, and then I go to work, and then I see patients, and it's just like this really like very boring, simple, nurturing kind of like life. And so I started dating this girl, and she was just like, you live a very like simple, quiet kind of like existence. And it really is. But I used to live a very loud one, and sometimes I still do.
But that sets the tone for the day.
But I have that balance, yeah.
What I've been reading lately is if you can overcome yourself in that first couple of hours in the morning, your day is going to be turning out pretty good.
Yeah.
Because that's what you were doing. You had these, your lifestyle, you wanted those calming effects, or those things, your personal time, rejuvenating time, whatever, somebody wants to call it. You set the tone for your day.
Yeah.
If you wake up in a panic, which we all do sometimes, like you wake up
God.
like, oh, the alarm didn't go off. Oh my gosh, the kids got to get to school and everything's got to get done. At least if you have that method, most of the time, you're going to be able to handle that time when it is a little bit cray-cray.
Right.
And you can handle that.
Right.
And you've already trained your brain, and your neuron patterning and all of that is set to take care of it. And so you might experience a flush of hormones or emotions or something like that, but your body's going to respond well. Whereas if you're in a whole nother state of stress, you're not going to be able to handle that well.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like that every day.
Yeah, the old pattern was stay up too late.
Yeah.
Be super exhausted.
Yeah.
Alarm goes off, so you have this alarm, and then it's like snooze, snooze, and finally drag yourself out of bed, and you're just exhausted, and then you go get some coffee, and then you're just like getting jacked up now, and then you like stress through stuff, and then you barely make it to work.
That's
and
right.
Oh my God, it is just.
And then it just goes and goes like that.
Yeah.
All day.
And that epinephrine
not,
and cortisol in the beginning, like when you're young, you feel like you have this edge. But by the time you get to your 30s, you feel like you're drowning. And then by the time you get to your 40s and 50s, you are just done. You're done. You're over it. You're like, let's just check out. I can't keep this up.
Yeah. And I think that comes with, I always like to say that, it's not a midlife crisis. It's a midlife awakening. Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
where
that's right.
Where we become aware and we acknowledge all the mistakes or things that we've done in the past that aren't working for us, whether on a physical level or emotional level or whatever.
So I had a midlife awakening. That's what changed everything for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people go through that.
Midlife awakening.
Also some of the effects are mood and stress response. We were talking about the fight or flight, but mood and the mental functionality. Let's talk, and the ability to be calm is what we were kind of talking about already. But Dr. Garrett, how does the adrenals affect mood?
Oh, they don't. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, on a soft science level, our kidneys can represent anger or regression, trauma from a lot of different areas in our life.
That's why I got mine removed. I sold them on the black market. Oh my goodness!
Right? Okay, so really, our kidneys and our adrenals have a lot of function in how we are able to handle life.
Yeah.
And if we're stressed out and our kidneys are angry, on the soft science side.
The angry kidneys.
Right.
Well, and like this is that balance between progesterone, which is happiness, cortisol, which is stress, like you only have so many parts. You have all these ingredients. What are you gonna make? And so we just pick exhaustion. That's just the American.
That's the lifestyle that we're in as a
society
as
a
a
whole.
society. I mean, even in other countries. I mean, we talked about this in one of our other episodes that they take breaks. They don't work the same kind of hours that
Like
we do.
in relationships, like.
Oh no.
Go to.
No, as a matter of fact, their relationships are more solid.
Go to Cancun for a week.
Yeah,
No.
they have really solid, solid relationships. They
Yeah.
live longer.
Happier.
They don't have. Yeah, they're happier.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying I'm moving to Europe or anything.
I am.
And probably not anytime soon, anyway. But
Man, once my kids graduate, I am. Someone was like, "If you don't like America, go to Denmark." And you think Denmark's so great, move there. I was like, "Yeah, could I move there?
You
I have a
could,
patient
you
in
could.
Denmark,
You could.
and she going from America to Denmark, like all those subtle changes that you don't even know in America, and that they're doing in other places. Like it's so different.
Yeah.
And so life affirming a lot of times,
Yeah.
So everybody still has the
good.
same amount of drama, right? Everybody has family, everybody has friends, everybody has frenemies, but other people get to be happy, So it doesn't seem quite fair. But your adrenals, if you do not take care of you and create some type of like stop surviving all the goddamn
Right.
time.
Right.
So probably one of the things we want to kind
Or
of
immune system too. We need to talk about that.
Oh yeah, it'll suppress your immune system because cortisol in humans, there's a gene that converts when cortisol goes up, it stimulates the liver to make sugar. So you literally raise your blood sugar when you're stressed, which is fine if you just need a little energy to get jacked up and fight or run. But if it's all day, every day, all these people in your lives, the situation, your job, then you suppress your immune system with just that gluconeogenesis sugar, let alone all the sugar you're going to eat to cope with the fact that you're exhausting your adrenals.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we do first thing in the morning. Eat a donut, drink some coffee. So we got caffeine. We're loaded with caffeine
And sugar.
So halfway through the day, we're having to have more caffeine. And so, and what I also read, what was interesting is the concept of we become closer in the evening is when, like we start out slow because we're relying on coffee. We start out slow and then we stay up later.
Right.
It's harder to get that melatonin to kick in.
Yeah, we're all jacked up.
And and so halfway through the day, then we start getting active, and then it's oh shit, it's 11:30 and I can't go to sleep. How and I know that I have a lot of friends that will post something on Facebook and say, anybody else awake at 3 a.m.?
I know.
And I'm like, and of course I'll see that the next day because I'm not awake at 3 a.m. But
no, one or two
it's
times
really
every now and then,
interesting.
like I will wake up in the middle of the night for whatever reason. Sometimes a freaking cat, for whatever reason, has wet paws. I don't know why they're wet. But the cat will be walking. It can't walk on the bed.
He's complaining. He has a cat.
It walks on my body.
Walking on him.
And then I'm like, why is your feet
But
wet?
it's a cat.
So then I'm like up trying to figure out this whole drama with this stupid cat walking on me with his wet paws.
You love your cats.
And then I'll be like, well,
they're playing in the toilet.
I
They come out there.
I know they probably.
And then they
I
start
keep my seat
messing with
down.
you.
I'm a good guy. I keep my seat down because I don't want those cats messing with it.
Yeah.
But
Huh? Oh, go ahead.
But a couple times, I get on my phone just to kind of check stuff, and like I might oh that's funny and repost, and then it's like. I'm like,
Everybody
what the
else is
hell are all these
awake.
people doing awake?
Unless they're early birds. I mean, sometimes I get up at 4 and I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't even need to have coffee or anything. So.
It's
But
probably,
yeah, I mean, it affects your blood sugar, and then of course when you're eating sugar the rest of the day, then
yeah,
then you're just spiraling.
it's stress,
Yeah.
cope, burnout.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Stress, cope, burnout. Stress, cope. So how many people actually experience like bloating during the day? I'm curious. I know we have a few people who have come to see you. Like, I want to say, like, oh, hi, Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. And let's see. Who was it that said they've been coming to see you for 2 years? I think it was Linda. Linda says, I've come a long way since watching Dr. G for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
I've made changes in my life and I feel better for
Nice.
it. So, good job.
Yes.
Good job, Linda. And you know what? It does take work and dedication, and you have to be really supportive of your own personal growth in that too. So making choices to eat healthy, to exercise,
Yes.
to change personal habits, like how you respond to people, understand that your adrenals and your kidneys might be ticking you off more than you should be, and having those emotional responses from that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good job.
And you're going to either
Linda.
meditate or you're going to meditate. But you are going to pick one way of living your life, either thriving or surviving, and you can only cope for so long before you crash. But just know it's a choice. It's
Right.
absolutely a choice. So like with patients, before I did all the stuff that I did to get where I am now, like the treatment plan was just food and chemicals. And then, do some mindful stuff and kind of vague stuff. But literally, half my treatment plan is now hormone stuff. Because I realized once I made my hero's journey, once I figured out how to become this happier, healthier, like balanced person, it changes how you eat, it changes how you live your life, it changes how your kids interact with you. Like, it's a whole different world to live in. Like, it's truly a different world to live in, to be at peace and calm most of the time. Not that you don't get rattled by other people's drama sometimes, but it is just this much drama versus what it used to be. And you used to have to cope with this, but now, like, waking up happy is like it's awesome.
There's also a lot of clarity that comes. I know for myself personally, the last 4 months I've been doing a lot of personal integrity work and things like that. Not that I haven't been that way in the beginning of my whole existence, and
She's always been mindful.
I've always
girl.
been very mindful.
Yeah.
But it's really taking into consideration all of these other aspects of how our bodies are made. I mean, I didn't know about the adrenals and how they actually affect mood and emotional response. I didn't really understand that until I started researching it. So those are super valid points in understanding. We have to take steps, and like I said, always come to him first, because he's going to help you decide what you're eating, what you're eating and how it's affecting you, and other things. But these are really valid things in life that we're not taught really in school.
Nope.
I mean, because they might talk about the function. Jennifer Burmeister's my stepsister, my sister's sister. She's awesome. She's also a nurse. She's a
Oh, nice.
trauma nurse. Yeah.
Trauma. That's what we're talking about.
Nurse. Yeah, an emergency room trauma nurse. So, and I'm really glad to see that you're on here. I know we haven't talked in a little while. In a minute, we need to get together and talk. But I want to talk about foods to avoid. Just some few basic foods to avoid, because we don't have very much more time. And we went over last week, and everybody hung in there with us.
Yeah. So what food should we avoid?
Well,
I know sugar.
Caffeine.
Caffeine. Caffeine? Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? So.
Why caffeine?
So it's like.
It's a stimulant.
That's right.
And so once we wake up in the morning and we're just loading our system up with stimulants, boom, 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 right off the bat.
And the question becomes, if you feel like you need coffee, because you're
Guess
exhausted.
what? Right.
Stop exhausting yourself.
That's right. So we shouldn't really wake up in the morning and crave coffee. I've actually lowered my coffee intake. Like, I might start drinking well, I go to the office sometimes, and my boss makes like the best coffee. So I go there just to have coffee. And so I might get there at 10, and he always thinks I'm going to get there at 11. But sometimes I come in early. 10.
I like that. That's early.
I know. Okay. So
Laziness.
he always teases
What is
me.
that,
He's
self-care?
like, "You're here. You're
That's
here.
self-care.
It's 9:30. You're here early."
That's self-care, girl.
I know.
Self-care.
I know.
All right.
Alcohol. So I stopped drinking alcohol. 4 months ago now.
Nice.
And it just it creates a whole lot of clarity. Although for blood pressure and like the Europeans drink it all day long, like take big old sips of it. And I'm not saying don't drink alcohol because I still enjoy a little glass of wine here and there.
But also,
but it's not
why?
flooded in my system like
why.
it used to be.
Yeah. So most people drink to escape or to cope.
Or coping.
But if you drink a little red wine, you don't.
Yep.
It doesn't matter to you if you're drinking it.
Yeah.
That's a different red wine than if you're drinking it to change your mood just
That's
because
right.
life sucks.
That's right. And in addition to that, I want to talk about. So earlier I said, weight gain and bloating. I have lost since I have been doing this work. As a child, I had my ureters replaced. That goes from your kidney to your bladder.
What?
Yeah, they were all messed up, and so they had to like fix them. So my kidney, I have one kidney that's like barely functioning, or is enlarged.
You should
and
donate that one. You get a discount.
Oh.
You should trade in
Okay.
2 ovaries
Anyway.
and get another kidney.
Oh.
Can you do
Yeah. No. Okay. So what I want to say is that in exercising and just these few little steps in exercising, walking, limiting my alcohol consumption to like for several weeks it was none. I lost 30 pounds, and where did all of that weight go? I mean, come from? It was all in the abdominal region.
Yeah.
And in my upper back. I have a back now.
Nice.
So what happens is all of that was accumulating. All of that weight gain was because my kidneys were not able to flush quickly enough of what I believe my adrenals were trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah, you can ignore.
And that's what happens to people,
Yeah.
I think, that drink a lot later on. I mean, I've had cousins
Oh,
pass
yeah.
away from kidney failure and all of that stuff. So there's that too. So alcohol is one of them, and
All
I
right.
just wanted to share some of my personal experience because I'm very proud of what I've accomplished.
What, it was a self-care?
Not that I still enjoy my wine, but just not like I
She
used
enjoys
to.
whining.
It's
Yeah.
more of a positive thing now. As before, it was kind of like, oh, wow,
One thing
let's get
positive,
some wine. We're gonna
positive
drink.
whining.
And I always had an occasion, I was like, oh, it's always a party. It's always, celebrating something. I gotta have some wine. Sweetened fruit juices, which is really like
Yeah.
wine eventually.
Yeah.
And some wines are actually toxic. They're like you were talking about earlier. They're made with all kinds of different
Like high
additives to hurry up and ferment them.
They use arsenic. Like there was a big arsenic issue with a bunch of wine, and
Yeah.
then they use wheat and dairy and fish bladders to get wine faster to the market.
Yeah. The ferment process, the processing of it.
So messed up.
So if you're going to drink wine, drink it from a different, am I going to say this?
What?
From a different country.
Yeah, different country.
And there are some local wineries around our city that they produce really good wine too. Carbonated drinks. This is no surprise. Carbonated drinks, processed foods, anything that's got MSG, monosodium glutamate, and of course stimulants, which could mean all kinds of different things.
I hope you're not talking about meth. I'm not getting up my meth.
You didn't pay me. Oh wait. No, we do not do any of that, and I'm not even.
No,
That
we
is-
don't do any meth.
No. Well, we were talking about DMT and
You sure didn't.
last week.
She sure is extra denying it.
I know, right?
No, if there's any cops watching, I don't have track marks all the way up to my neck and in my eyeballs.
Oh, I know nothing about that stuff, y'all. I really don't. I'm kind of glad. Now, there are people that roam around sometimes that I'm like, I think they're on meth.
Yeah, on my shoe walks where I find my shoes.
Yeah.
So on my walks, there's like a lot of like homeless people that I walk through and to get to the areas where I find this stuff, and there's occasionally some people that are just kind of shaky and itchy, and that's fine. But then there are some very aggressive acting people that look like they're on meth, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm probably not gonna walk down the alley this time.
Yeah, not this time.
But I'm always walking through sketchy places.
Yeah. See, Paul Frank asks, what are some of the questions you should ask winemakers about the wine
Yes.
to understand the quality? There's only a few steps in making wine. I mean, you can make wine at your own home, really. There's,
I make it in my bathtub.
Oh. Anyway,
So
there's a lot of it at his house if anybody needs any wine. But I think there's just a few questions. You could probably Google it, but there's really only a few steps.
Yeah.
That it should. They smash them, they put them in a barrel, and they turn them, and
Yeah.
that should be about it. I mean, I can't remember if they add anything in there or not.
Well, so
And
nowadays,
it depends on what kind of barrel they're in, as far as what kind of flavors they end
Yeah.
up with, and so.
and
So there
nowadays
you go,
they.
Paul. I don't have a specific answer for you, but I think there's only a few steps. There
Yeah.
shouldn't be more than a couple.
No added
Two or three.
sulfites.
No sulfites.
Natural sulfites are fine.
Right, which is what? What's a natural sulfite?
Well, they're all fruits and grapes and stuff. They all have natural sulfites
On
in them.
the grape skin.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
like the natural yeast is fine, right? But if they making sure that they don't add sulfites, and then also you might look up like vegan wines, because vegan wines, like of course all wines should be vegan, but
It's not. It's not all vegan.
they're not, because some actually use fish bladder like they use in beer. Some use dairy, and some use grains to help ferment the process faster, so they can get to market faster, so then they can make more money faster. And that's usually going to be your kind of like, I would assume like your dirt cheap
Right.
American wines. But also wine doesn't matter based on price, so $9 to kind of $15 is where you want to be. But
Per
even
bottle.
Jacobson's, well, they're all organic wine, but that's still could be organic dairy,
Could be
organic wheat,
Right,
organic fish bladders.
right.
So I would just kind of Google that. Like that's what I had to do for some patients, is kind of figure out, because you'll drink some wine and it'll give you a massive headache, but then you can drink, like I drink a
certain
Malbec.
kind, yeah.
I never have headaches or migraines or feel awful with that.
From Australia? Do you drink yours from Australia?
South America.
South America. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Malbec's Argentinian.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I get my shrimp and my. That's not South America. I get my shrimp and my wine from the same place.
Oh, okay. And then foods to eat. We'll move on to that. Omega-3 essential fatty acids, salmon. Sardines are good too. If you like
Yeah,
sardines.
love
Fish,
sardines.
poultry, eggs, legumes, spinach, dark leafy greens, celery, zucchini, kelp, sprouts, green and black olives, which I love. Fruit, if you're diabetic or working with some of the sugar situations, any kind of blood sugar situation, just kind of figure out. I would just leave it out of the diet.
No, it's not true. Leave juice out of the diet.
Leave juice out of the
Juice
diet.
out of the diet.
But regular fruit in moderation. Papaya, mango, plums, pears, kiwi, apples, cherries, and berries.
Yeah.
Sweets,
Probably not.
probably not.
Yeah.
Nuts, seeds, olive
God
oil,
dang it! I could have.
coconut oil, garlic,
Do you
B
know what I s-
vitamins,
do you know what I say all the time?
vitamin C.
So fermented foods.
Yes.
So do you know how I say all that at once?
Yes, you do.
Do it. Can you say it?
Fruits, nuts, seeds, grains, berries, legumes. I can't follow.
Yeah.
that.
So like all those
Seeds, nuts,
things, like
berries.
like Gene Carper's book is really good.
Yeah.
It's like it talks about all the science of the nutrition that's in food and stuff and how you eat. But very quickly you realize from every type of like food therapy, it's fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, berries, legumes, and greens. It's always
Period.
that.
Yeah.
It's always that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, people are going to say, what kind of nuts and seeds? Well, you're going to have to come see Dr. Garrett
Oh.
so that you can figure out if you're
unless
food
you're
allergy
sensitive to
towards
it, yeah.
one or the other or something like that. So you can kind of hone it in on a specific thing that really works for your body. I mean, I've had actually somebody tell me, cut out sunflower seeds, and I was like, no, I love them.
Yeah.
But I did for 6 months or so, and then I started slowly introducing them back into my diet. But unless you really know, you have to come to.
Then you're just guessing.
Yeah, then you're just guessing, and then it takes a really long time to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And so some things to do. You told me that one's not necessarily the protein-rich food. See if you can wean yourself off of the caffeine in first thing in the morning anyway. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Eat several small meals a day. Exercise. Manage your stress. I know these are all things. Rest. Sleep. Practice gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Gratitude is the most happiness.
No sugar.
Least amount of work, and it rewires your brain.
Yep. No sugar. Manage your mindset. There's also things like adaptogens, and again, it's mushroom type stuff that you might be able to help somebody with if they.
Yeah, ashwagandha, schistosandra. You're better using those adaptogens in the beginning than caffeine. But schistosandra, rhodiola, holy basil, tulsi. Every country has its adaptogen drinks that they've always traditionally done. And for North America, it was tulsi. Or holy basil.
Or holy basil.
Yeah.
And so for some of you that may want to know what an adaptogen does, it's a neuroprotective element. It's anti-fatigue properties. What are we talking about today? Fatigue. Exactly. Anti-depression, and stimulates the nervous system. And there's probably a lot of other things that I didn't write down on here. So, so that's all my notes.
So we'll deal more with this too next week. So next week we'll have episode 179, almost to 180.
Almost.
In 179 we're going to talk about adrenal exhaustion. We'll talk more about that, but in relation to thyroid exhaustion. So almost all thyroid problems are secondary to adrenal problems or cortisol problems. Cortisol problems are secondary to stop living a lifestyle that's inconsistent with life longevity, right? So your assignment between now and next week is I want you guys to post, what does a life worth living look like? What does that look like? What is the routine that you would like to see? How would you be different? What would you be if you weren't exhausted and stressed all the time?
Absolutely.
So that's the key thing with that.
And so Jennifer asked the question, does Dr. Garrett do telehealth visits for those of us living in California?
Yeah.
And yes, he does.
Yeah.
And
we actually have patients. I've had patients from all kinds of different countries fly over, but we do telehealth. We do it through health coaching, and then so technology is so nice now with all that. So.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jennifer, for that question. And we're gonna. You want to do a little lowdown on the upcoming version of your new clinic?
Well, so we have a new clinic coming up that I'm helping with called the Genomic Wellness Group. And it's going to look at the genetics and the T cells dysregulation, kind of molecular mimicry stuff, and then from head to toe with the patient. Kind of a lot of the lifestyle medicine stuff that I do is going to be implemented in the protocols. But we're going to have a specialist for reversing Crohn's and ulcerative colitis and IBS and reflux. We have a specialist that's for anxiety and depression. We have a specialist that's for thyroid-specific conditions and autoimmune in general. And then we have a specialist, another doctor for weight loss and for reversing type 2 diabetes. So the whole clinic is really just a group of very talented specialists, all practicing functional lifestyle medicine and all well in tune to help reverse very specific conditions with a really high success rate from our clinic. So I'm very excited about that whole situation. We'll have that website up soon, and we'll actually have them on as guests and kind of talk about their expertise, which would be really nice too.
Are you having another show tomorrow?
No.
Oh,
so
okay. I thought you might be.
Next Tuesday, we'll have our next show on thyroid and adrenal exhaustion. But then Wednesday, we're going to have...
Sonia?
No, I forgot. I'm the worst with names. Oh my gosh. So, but we're going to talk about myofunctional therapy with, I think it's Delaney Hansen. I'm terrible with names. I'm really, like, I have a glitch somewhere in
We
there.
had that conversation. You know,
I know.
Sometimes people have a brain like his. He can just, remember all this stuff, but there's that one thing.
I'll tell you how to
I have
synthesize
that
the
too.
methylated alkaloid, tell you all kinds of stuff. But for some reason, like there's a part, I fell out of trees, I had bike wrecks, I had climbing falls, I had all kinds of like head injuries, and somehow I can still remember the most complicated, thing.
Yep.
But like names, like very specific names, they like elude me. Even when I'm talking to that person, even if I've been friends with them forever, even people that I've known forever, like I just have this agnosia of like, that person is crazy.
So you might know, like, even when we start this show,
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
hi, I'm Suzanne.
Shut it down, no. It is. It's like I should know your name, right?
Right.
We've been
But
friends forever.
we all have things like that.
Yeah. So whatever part of that
Yeah.
brain is in the memory lobe, that's where I probably fell out of the tree, fell off a cliff somewhere, like went.
Does anyone have any? Yes.
Where am
you're
I?
Fine.
Who are we?
Well, so does anyone have any more questions before we jump off of the live feed here?
Oh, see, Dr. Paul Frank.
Oh yeah, Paul.
He's
Yep.
the same.
Yep.
He's the same.
And Deb says she's doing the same thing too. Song titles, and movie, and names of like actors and actresses. I'm the same way.
Yeah. It's like, what's
Well,
her face?
You're all right.
All right,
but it's always like a game with me. It's like, no, it's that one, the girl that has a curly hair,
Yes.
and whoever can, it's like charades with
Yeah.
me, and it's always fun because somebody always gets it.
Yeah.
They can always like describe it enough.
So I'll leave you guys with
Yeah.
my favorite Alzheimer joke. So there's this old couple and this other old couple, and he's talking about, oh my God, this restaurant we went to is amazing. And the guy was like, well, what's the restaurant called? And he's like, oh crap. What's that flower that has the red petals and it has thorns on it? What is that called?
Rose.
Rose, yeah. Hey, Rose, what's the name of the restaurant we went to?
Oh my gosh.
That's going to be me.
Oh.
Hey, Aaliyah, what restaurant did we go
Where
to?
did we go that one time the other day, last year?
Yes.
So Deb asks,
Oh.
how do you end up with high DHEA?
That's a good question.
That is a really good question. Well, I thought that there was something you could take, like
Yeah.
a supplement that you could enhance that. Is there anything?
So it's created from cholesterol through, so basically if it's elevated, it's not converting over. So we have this like flow pattern that we have from cholesterol, then converting into these hormones and then to the next hormones. And if it's not able to convert, then it backflows into that. So typically DHEA, the only time you really ever see it elevated is when people are taking DHEA supplements. But it's also an epiandrogen, so if we need very specific nutrients to convert. So if we exhaust, say, B6 because of cortisol, then we might not have enough B6 to convert, say, DHEA to testosterone, so then DHEA gets built up, right? So that's one. The other thing is lab values are very different from lab to lab. So that range shifts like this, and it's based off of not normals, but what is the expected ranges in the sickest, fattest, dumbest population on Earth, and what are those ranges now?
And those change.
And they get worse and worse and worse.
Well, we know they
Yeah.
go up the ladder, but
And so you're not necessarily comparing what is my DHEA to normal. You're what's my DHEA in a broken society, right? From ages from 0, or depending on them, but maybe 18 to say 80. So it's not age specific, it's not gender specific, the ranges change. So you may have a marginally elevated range, but if you go get it done at LabCorp, you're normal.
It
Yeah.
depends on where you get it done.
So if it's really high, it's a flow problem. That you're missing some conversion. Probably those nutrients are being depleted, not eaten, and then or both. And then if it's just a very marginal one, it's more likely that it's just a lab difference. So, like a normal.
Perfect.
And there's a bell curve, and 80% of people within that range we call normal or reference. But there's still people that are on 20% above and below that function perfectly, and they just have elevated levels or lower levels, but they're able to function perfectly, and that's normal for them. And then also by body size, it's we usually have male ranges are larger than female ranges, but that's really just proportionate size. My Suburban takes 6 gallons of oil, where my Mercedes only takes 3. I don't know. I don't do the oil change anymore, but bigger engine takes more. So typically, guy ranges are going to be elevated.
Thing.
But if a woman is as tall as a man, she should probably have the same lab ranges as the guy. So it's a whole mess.
It is. And so then you need him to kind of help understand where
so then you figure,
where that
you gotta come to
balance
someone
is.
like me to figure out what the hell's going on.
Right, exactly.
But sometimes it's
because
just...
you know the different labs that that you
I actually
used and
taught a postdoctoral program on functional lab interpretation.
Good deal. So you get a bonus there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And so I think we're past 8 o'clock.
Oh snap! So the time goes so fast.
It does.
I got here early, and I
Yeah.
was like sitting out and talking on the phone, and then we came in, and then it was like, all right, let's get ready for this show. Well, we got like half an hour, and then it was like, okay, we're ready. No, we've got 15 more minutes. And I'm like, okay, we got 10 more minutes, and then the hour goes like that.
So is it okay if I read something out of Joe Dispenza's book?
She's gonna end with a reading.
Is it okay?
Is this a poem?
No, it's actually kind of part of. I don't know how far I'm going to go into it, but so it says in here, and when we're talking about evolving our energy, and in this case, adrenals, fatigue, or our feeling of fatigue because we've exhausted our adrenals, because it's relative to adrenals. We're in that section of the book. When we successfully transcend the adversity in our life, which has challenged us to grow and overcome, we have the opportunity to feel more whole, more free, and more satisfied, and we're then able to feel genuine love for self and others as the energy flows through and activates all of those regions that we're talking about. That's my added ending on that.
Nice. All right, you guys. Thank you for attending. Look forward to your answers. Love you guys. Appreciate it. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.